Good luck and thank you, Marshall. Today's October 30th, 2024. This is the Wednesday CalPads Q&A, and my name is Matt Clark. I'm a field support specialist at CSIS supporting CalPads, and I'll be hosting the Q&A today. Driving documentation for us is Gary Gerwer. In terms of announcements, I do have a few today. Flash 292 was released last Friday, October 25th, with guidance regarding Sunbucks. Sunbucks was a new federal program in summer 2024 that shares similarities with the former temporary PEBT program, and the similarities have resulted in some confusion. Flash 292 is meant to provide some clarity regarding the Sunbucks program. In particular, the Flash provides an overview of Sunbucks, how Sunbucks relate to free and reduced price meal reporting for LCFF purposes, a summary of key tasks, and further resources with detailed information. Flash 292 is thorough, clocking in at about 8 pages long, and should be consulted for guidance on all things Sunbucks. Second announcement today, a letter from the CDE was sent out yesterday, October 29th, notifying users that the CalPad system will be offline from Saturday, December 14th through Monday, December 16th, during the weekend following the initial deadline for Fall 1. And this is in order to make updates to the system. Third and final announcement on my end, CalPads did experience a glitch during last night's processing, and many LEAs saw their errors and reports come back showing no enrollments today. This has been addressed, and when a new revision completes for your LEA, the data should return with the expected counts in place. And that's all that I have for announcements. Angela, any announcements on known issues, defects, deployments?
Yeah, that active and known fixed issues document was updated today with the release that went in yesterday. Quite a few fixes yesterday. Still a couple outstanding. They made improvements on the SPRG extract, but they're still struggling. There's a couple instances where you still may find duplicates. And so we did add that workaround that somebody provided us here last week of how to remove those duplicates before you load that file into your system.
Awesome. Thank you, Angela. And Sean, CDE folks, any announcements?
Thank you. Sorry, I was already off mute. We just wanted to provide the update for, not update, but a reminder for the CalPads special education roadshows. If you haven't been able to attend locally in your COE or a neighboring COE, please remember that there is the virtual webinar that will be held.
Yes, thanks, Sean. And that is scheduled for November 14th. I put the registration link in the chat, and it's scheduled for 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. So if you were unable to attend any of the road shows, go ahead and register using that registration link.
Yeah.
Yep, and then also another thing, for those of you that are receiving the Plan 675 F1 error, please ignore that error if the students are 4 years old and in grade TK. The program setting 200s are acceptable. So please ignore that error for those students that are 4 years old and in TK. The issue has been reported, and there's an edit that is going to occur on that validation, the Plan 675 F1 error. Thank you.
Thank you, Milo. And thank you, Sean. Go Dodgers. All right, let's go ahead and jump into the questions here. So our first question is from Bavita at Poway Unified, Q1. CTE work experience course at our district is aligned with CTE standards and articulated with the community college. However, because the state course code is 9502, not in the 7,000 to 8,999 range, we are not able to mark it as a post-secondary articulated course. This is causing reporting discrepancies and manual adjustments within our CTE department. Can we allow 9502 courses to be marked as post-secondary articulated? CTE work experience is not in a specific pathway, but covers multiple pathways.
So what's the question? That they can't mark it as a CTE pathway? That'd be correct.
The question stated in the in there is, can we allow 9502 courses to be marked as post-secondary articulated?
And Gary's got something. I'm sorry. Yeah, Gary's got something up.
Right. So Gary has pulled up in the valid code combinations document, the course group master combos tab. Gary's pulled up course code 9502. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, Gary.
No, I was just going to say I just put what it is. I wasn't sure what 9502 was off the top, but
Yeah.
I think the CFS will specify that that indicator TT post-secondary articulated course indicator can only be used by state course codes that fall in the CTE range. So the answer would be no. But I think what you want to display is the CFS.
and that's right. Where is that one at? With course? Course.
Yeah, that's the
There we go.
SENR tab. There we go.
Sorry for scrolling.
You're good.
We've all done it, Gary.
Where is it? I know it's here somewhere.
All I know is Nate came prepared for Halloween and I didn't get the memo.
Well, soon when I can't seem to find it. Post-secondary.
All right. Well, it may be a
So yeah,
request
it's on
for.
It's on 9.12. Gary.
Gosh, why did I keep going past that? Oh, there it is. Thank you.
It's okay. No worries. So it would only be a yes if it's a CTE course. So since you're not a CTE course, then no, you're not able to put in that post-secondary articulated course.
All right. I do think that it may be a request for added functionality to be able to allow this course to have the post-secondary articulated indicator active. But I
And
think
yes,
that's
that
the
would be a ticket.
yeah, I think
to
that's the
put in.
best that we're gonna have in here, Bavita. If you would like to make a request, please do submit a service desk ticket there. Let's go ahead and move on now to Alejandra from Madera Unified. Q1, I'm in the process of adding special education enrollments. My special education coordinator is unsure about enrollment statuses and private versus district level enrollments. I've gone through creating and maintaining SSIDs for students with disabilities in CALPADS documentation, and I'm still unclear. How should I enroll adult special education students? And then Judy provided a little bit of guidance here as well. We enrolled them in our special education programs as grade 12 and mark the transition indicator.
Yes, and I'm in agreement with Judy. And for adult students on an active IEP, if the student still receives services on an IEP while attending the adult school, then the student is reportable at the district level until they age out. So yes, grade level 12. Thanks, Judy.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Judy, and thank you, Milo. All right, next question from Kimberly at Southeast SELPA. Q1 will report 16.17 students with disabilities annual comparison. Be ready in time for Fall 1 certification as it shows as a new report in the Fall 1 reporting roadmap.
So I just checked and it is being worked on right now. So that means it's coming soon.
All right, so be on the lookout. Go ahead and move on here to Sin from Danuba USD. Q1, when a student transfers out and the receiving school submits an N470, we still show an ERD for them. Is there anything further we need to address on our end? And then Mara provided some guidance as well. The reason it's an ERD is because you probably have a T160, but the student didn't actually enroll anywhere after your district. The N470 means that the student didn't enroll there, so you'll need to find out where the student actually enrolled. And then Sin thanks Mara for this guidance.
That would be correct. I would agree with.
All right. So in this case, then please do find out where the student enrolled in after your LEA there. Okay, next question from Eva at Saugus USD. Q1, hello everyone. Hi, Eva. Last year, in the 23 to 24 school year, we reported around 125 incidents district-wide, while the year before that was 126 incidents. This year, the district wants to ensure that every incident is being reported. As of today, we have 1,780 incidents, and we are only in October. We will have so much more by the end of this school year. What does this mean for our school district? Will we be held accountable, or how does this impact our school district for reporting way more incidents than we have in the past?
I'm confused on what kind of incidents. I figure, yeah, Jan, thank you. Are they suspendable offenses? Are they burr? I need clarification on that portion before I commented on why. So not only are they suspendable, but then also are they a behavioral emergency incident? And if so, then yes, you are reporting correctly. If not, CalPADS will give you an error because you don't have a suspension listed with it. So just, yeah, I would just check and see, Eva.
All right. Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Eva. Thank you as well, Jan, for providing some guidance in the comments there. Next question from Kevin at Tulare County SELPA. Q1, how should a dual enrollment college course and the college teachers be coded in CalPADS when the course is taught by a college teacher, not an employee of the district? CalSAS is showing these courses as vacancies when they are instead taught by a college teacher, not an employee of the district. How should this scenario be coded, i.e. a CalPADS error or a CalSAS issue or other? So in course records in fall 2, you report college teachers with the generic seat of all nines. That does generate exceptions in the CalSAS systems, which do result in misassignments, but that is the correct way to code college teachers in course section records. Would anyone like to add to that?
You got it. You covered it. Thank you.
All right, thank you. It looks like Kyron's typing some additional guidance in there. Oh, yes, with the reporting a seat of all nine. So please do look at that link that Kyron just posted in the Q&A box for further guidance there. Sharon, I lost the text of your Q1, so I'm gonna go ahead and move on. I'm to further questions. I'm hoping that you were able to get the question a little bit lower down in the Q&A box here, but it did just cut off after a Q1 : on my end. All right. Is this a Q2 from Eva?
No, it's a different Eva.
It's a different Eva. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Thank you, Sean. All right.
No worries.
Q1 from Eva. This Eva is from Wasco Union Elementary School District. Hello. Overnight, I developed 200 plus SIMF fatal errors, and I'm going through them. I can now not delete any SIMF records. Is that a glitch? And why can't I delete the SIMF record, especially since they are not the only SIMF records listed? And then Ethan provided the guidance. You can delete SIMF records if you have ownership of the student during the effective date range. We just, hot off the presses this afternoon, escalated up a known issue regarding SIMF records. Angela, did you want to speak on the new known issue?
Actually, no, because I've been doing other things all day, so I'm just now getting back into the CalPADS world. So
Okay.
Gary, was that you that sent that up?
It was Paul, I believe. Let me
Paul.
pull it up and see what I can dig up here.
And while you're doing that, I can say that we did turn on a new CDD on Tuesday. You guys have seen it before. It was just performing bad and causing CalPADS to have problems. So it was turned off for a little while. It's regarding the second guardian's education level. So if you provide the second guardian's name, you also need to provide the education level. So Eva, you could just add a new SIMF record that matches your enrollment start date with that data populated, and those errors will clear.
Hey, Matt.
Yes.
I can speak to the newly minted bug, and it's the online maintenance delete functionality for SIMP records. Just it goes into processing, and then it never actually processes or completes. But that's what the bug is, and the workaround is you can still use the SIMP file type and upload deletes through the upload process.
Perfect. And that was hot off the presses as of 2:29, so just before the Q&A. Thank you for elaborating there, Paul. Thank you as well, Angela and Eva, for the question. The next question from Maya at EUSD Q1. The definition for special education meeting delay code 85 is did not pass hearing and or vision screening. Is the meeting was delayed because the student did not pass hearing and or vision screening. Is this code valid if the student has not been able to test for their reevaluation yet due to not bringing their glasses or contacts to be tested with? Or would the meeting delay code be 20, parent did not make themselves or child available in this instance? And then Judy provides a little bit of guidance here. That's a tricky one. Yes, you could use 20, even though technically parents are not keeping the student from being assessed. 85 means the student was actually assessed.
Yeah, and if you have any further questions, Mia, you can submit a ticket on that. Thanks, Judy, for the question, for the assistance.
And thank you as well, Milo. And thank you, Maya, for the question. All right, next question from Catherine at Sonora Elementary. Q1, do we know when we will be able to see Fall 2 certification status? This is usually just after the Fall 1 initial deadline. The Fall 1 initial deadline is December 13th, which is a Friday. The following Monday is December 16th. So I would start looking for your Fall 2 certification statuses, revisions, reports, and fatal errors on December 16th this year.
Maybe
Except
17th.
that
It's going to be
system will
offline.
be
on 16th.
17th. I just
Can-
announced that. Thank you.
Gary, if we could use this as a teaching moment back inside of CalPads under the user manual, so under help, user manual, and then the Fall 2 roadmap is the second one right there in the middle of the screen. There you go. That's it. So if you forget that date, that's a quick way to come back to that.
All right.
Typically, the CalPADS calendar is too. We'll get that updated though. It takes us a little bit longer to update things online. Sorry.
All right. Thank you, Sean, Angela, and Gary. All right, next question. We have a Q1 from Randy at San Marino USD. Question 1, when a student is withdrawn from the district and parents enroll that student in a private school, and as a result of settlements, the district is responsible for covering the costs of that private school, is the student considered to be categorized as NPS?
Milo, do you know the answer to that one?
Typically, that would be typically that's not going to be an NPS. It's going to be a private school and enrollment. But since this is a settlement agreement, I would advise you to talk to your special education director because you need to know exactly what that settlement agreement states for how that student's record is reflected.
Yeah, thanks, Sean. And then if you have any further questions, you can submit a ticket and we can look into it further. Just include the SSID so we can check the record in CalPads. Thank you.
Thank you, Milo and Sean, and thank you, Randy, for the question there. Next question from Marcy at Design Tech High School. Q1, is there an estimated date for when all of the data discrepancies will be turned on?
So we're overdue. We should have had them all turned on by now. We have 2 outstanding that are still having performance issues. So They almost made it yesterday, so I'm assuming they'll be turned on next Tuesday.
All right. Thank you, Angela. And thank you,
And
Marcy.
while we're on that topic, because there is one that's turned on but not working 100% correctly, and it is on the known issues. 661, if you just type that in, I think it's fix available, but it's not quite fixed. So if you just search on 661, Gary. This is happening. It's not catching every scenario where the race or ethnicity is missing. And so if you come across a student who's not showing up on your report 1.2, that could be why. Go check their demographic information and make sure both race and ethnicity are populated correctly. Because like I said, that error isn't catching 100% of those scenarios. So just a heads up for you folks.
Awesome. Thank you, Angela. And thank you, Marcy, for the question there. The next question from Pa at Oroville Union High School District Q1. If we have a student that was a completer but not a grad, an E230 360, can they continue at another public high school for their high school diploma? And then Mara provided some guidance here. Yes, if the student was a completer, then he or she should have a different completion code since 360 means dropout. As long as a student hasn't received a regular high school diploma, they can continue in school. And then Pa has a follow-up question with what would be the more appropriate code to use.
What would be the more appropriate code to use? We weren't aware that the student was going to enroll elsewhere. So typically you would use transferred, since you know that they've actually transferred to another school versus they're not a dropout though. But then my thing is, why would they would need to be 12th grade in order to mark them as an E230/360. And so like, are they a 5th grade senior? I'd like to see this record, Pa. So if you can please put in a ticket with the SSID so we can ensure we're providing the most accurate guidance for this student. There may be another code to use, again, depending on that student's grade level. So yeah.
Yeah,
And then where they're also enrolled at following.
a ticket with further details, I think, would be helpful for this one, Pa. Thank you. Mara did suggest T160, but I do think knowing all of the details of your scenario would really help us to answer this one correctly there. Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Pa. All right, next we have a Q1 from Kareem. I have a TK student that was enrolled on Census Day, but left my district on October 7th. The student was free on a direct cert downloaded on October 16th. What would be an appropriate start date for the FRPM record? The date that the student started?
Enrolled on Census Day, but they left their district on 10/7. What does the direct cert day say? That's the date that you would put in there. It's provided to you, so you would put that date in there for direct cert, Kareem. Note for student program eligibility, it's an eligibility record, so for free and reduced, it needs to be as of the academic year, so 7/1 throughout, but what date was provided in that direct cert file is the date that you would put in there along with your enrollment for your LEA. Cool, thank you.
And he says, gotcha, I'll take a look. Thank you. And I would also like to thank you, Sean, and thank you, Kareem. All right, next question from Lou at Lucia Mar USD. Q1, is there a new bug with SPRG 70 for students who have an existing LIP 305 program and a new LIP 303 program is being added either through online maintenance or through batch file upload?
I feel like Kyron has that handy in the user manual, because I don't remember what 305 and 306 are.
I haven't, it's not ringing a bell for me. Gary or Paul, have you seen anything?
Anyone that I've seen has been legitimate.
Me too.
Yeah, nothing for me.
So Lou, I do not believe there's a new bug with the SPRG 70 error. So please do submit a ticket for further guidance. All right, next question, we've got a Q1 from Jamie. On my fall 1 report, I'm showing one more foster than I have in my student information system. When we reached out to the family, the student was adopted along with their sibling. My question is, if they are foster at the beginning of the year, are they considered foster all year? We are not sure why they show up as foster on the direct cert, but not the sibling.
So your foster youth report you get. Who's this question to? Eva? No, Jamie?
Jamie, yeah, 306.
Thank you. So Jamie, your foster youth report you extract from CalPADS, and that's your official report. If you found a student, if you think you have a student that's not on that list, then you can verify with their, is it the client ID? Yeah, it's the client ID, and then list that information, but not all students meet that definition of foster youth. So while a student may have been in a foster youth program, again, it depends on did they meet all of the requirements for foster youth as far as CalPADS is defining it from CDSS. Anybody else want to add anything? Did I cover everything? I feel like I'm missing something.
Sounds more thorough than I can get.
Well, I just want to add to go with what Sean said. We distinctly collect foster youth data and report, and it's matched for LCFF purposes. Your districts do a lot of other things and program services for foster students. So in the LCFF FAQs, I believe it will tell you which students are not eligible for foster youth. But that would be a resource to check and something to consider when you're trying to identify why a student is not counted as foster youth.
Right, and Gary's taking us to the LCFF FAQs now.
It's a long document. It's in
Yeah.
here somewhere.
So this is the place to look for detailed guidance related to your question, Jamie. I'm going to go ahead and move on to another question now.
Matt,
We have a
hold on, Matt.
Okay.
Before you move on, can you go back to what was the lady with the lip programs?
Aha, let me get there. It's now in answered, but I believe I can find it quickly here. Oh,
So I just wanted to note that 303 and 305 are both for EL students only. So if you're putting in that, if you're trying to put in a lip record, Lou, for students that are not EL, then that would be why you're getting like an error. SPRG 0070.
Yeah, but the Sprig 70 will trigger if they're submitting the same code at the same school with different dates. So that's probably
Yeah, so if they, so that too. Thanks, Kai. So for that one, you want to make sure you only have the one lip record. If those students have like moved schools or so within your district, that might be you need some mapping done within the back end of your SIS there.
all right.
Okay,
And then
then
Lou
yes, put in
followed
a
up.
ticket.
Yeah, Lou followed up with there's only one lip 305 for our LEA. Yeah. So
And if that record's still open, then you don't have to put in another one. But
cool.
if
And
you're
she's,
receiving an error still on that, then yes, please put in a ticket.
yeah, she said she submitted the ticket, so we should be able to
Okay.
help you out, Lou.
Thank you.
We are a little bit behind on tickets today, just a heads up.
And related to that, next question, Q1 from Claudia at 306. Waiting for an answer on my ticket number 315196, entered on October 24th. So I believe she's looking for a status.
We are not that far behind, Claudia. So, Nate, that was assigned to you. Are you available to help Claudia out today?
Sure. I'll check it out.
Thanks.
Just glad it wasn't me because I was like, look at
So is that moment of anxiety of like, okay, who's it assigned to? Did I forget?
No, because we've been finding ones, Angela, that are like buried in between stuff that we're like, how did
It
we miss
happens.
it?
You move on, you start working on other things and don't see their response. So sometimes
Yes.
you guys fall through the cracks every once in a while, but we try really hard not to do that, I promise.
Exactly.
All right. Thank you, Angela, Sean, and Nate for helping Claudia out there. Next question, we have a Q1 from Alex. Please go over the SIMP 635F1 Missing Parent Guardian 2 highest education level code. All was fine yesterday, and today I have over 700 SIMP 635F1 errors. It looks like Ethan responded with, I think they just turned it on. If you report a second parent guardian name, you have to report a second parent guardian ed level. If you only report one name, you only need to report one ed level. And Joanne from SEUSD said we have over 7,000 of these errors on SIMP records. From before this was a requirement back in 2023 for the CalPADS quarterly updates PowerPoint, we were told that historical data will not need to be updated unless SIMP record is updated or added.
That's correct too.
I think historical data doesn't need to be uploaded, but I think the most recent SIMP record has to be correct. And that's where I found LEA had a bunch of errors, and they were records. Their most recent record was from the 22-23 year. But I don't know if you count that as historical, because that's the most recent record they had with both parents on there. So I think it's a valid error in that case. But if they put a new one in, then that 22-23 is historical, and the newer one with the correct data will override that.
That's correct, Gary. So I think there might have been a misunderstanding when we presented that information, meaning we weren't expecting you to go back and fix every SIMP record, but the most recent one that is overlapping information day should have the correct information.
And to Alex's question, you just noticed the error today. It wasn't there last week. So we put out that flash. I think it's either 290 or 291 that listed the CVRs, IVRs update. It is the one posted. It's the last one posted.
And it was just turned on yesterday, Alex, so that's why you're just now seeing this.
Yeah.
So it was 291. And just to elaborate on Ethan's comment, so there are 3 fields that you can populate for a parent guardian 2. And if you populate any one of those fields, it's first name, last name, and highest education level. If you populate any one of those fields, you're required to populate all 3 of the fields, and you will get validation errors that will enforce that for you.
Try 290 then, Gary. Sorry.
That's
A
okay.
lot
We've
going
talked
on.
about it a couple times now, but we turned
Okay.
it on yesterday. We can move on.
All right. Let's go ahead and move on then to Val's Q1 from BUSD. Will the direct cert for November count the students for Census Day?
Yes.
Yes.
A resounding,
Right at the same time. I love it.
I like the easy ones.
a resounding yes, Val. So yes, the direct cert counts from November will count the students from Census Day. Thank you, everyone. All right, we've got a Q2 from Alex. I will return to that one. Our next Q1 is from Jacqueline. Q1, when a student disenrolls from our district for homeschool, what is the exit code, please? And then Mara provides this guidance to her schools. You use a T160 if they're enrolled in a California public homeschool program. You use a T180 if they're enrolled in a California private homeschooling program. And this includes when parents have applied for the private school affidavit. And you use E140 if the students are not enrolled in a program and the parents are just teaching the students themselves, including using outside resources or hiring a teacher/tutor, but not an actual enrollment in a school.
I think our guidance says differently. I like Mara's where she went with this, but some of them I'm worrying about like ERDs, like if it's a T160 and there's no subsequent enrollment, then it's gonna produce an ERD for a T160. Even if they have a homeschooling program, because CalPADS doesn't have a record in it. So our guidance is typically a T180 for it, because and that's even if they have the private school affidavit filled out, or if they have the tutor. And I think that's in the FAQs, the CalPADS FAQs. And Gary's showing one though. Gary's got highlighted. What's it reading? Sorry, Gary. I don't know why my screen, I feel like it's so
Oh, no,
small.
I just have the code sets. I didn't have the FAQ up yet.
I think he was following along with you. So when you were recommending T180, he pulled up the T180.
Although Mira did mention the T180 there as well.
Yeah.
Guess it just depends.
Joe received adequate documentation from private school. Do not use transfer non-sectarian PS. Yeah, no. I believe it's still just the T180.
I agree with Mara
Yes.
though on E140, right? If it's just a homeschooling program that the parent has not done anything to make official and there is no affidavit, I would say that's a dropout.
No, because they still have to track it, Angela. The CWA monitor still has to track it, and normally there's like a form at the local level that they have signed in those rules, because they have to have a seed number. They have to verify that that teacher has a credential, that tutor has a credential. So they have to like sign a document and provide the seed number. So that was why we still put in a T180. And so it says it in
Okay.
the FAQs, the exiting students. If a parent has elected to homeschool, and even if they have not yet filed the PSA, can an LEA
Oh.
exit a student with exit
Good to
reading
know.
code T180? And the answer
Okay.
is yes.
Try searching on homeschool, Gary.
All right, perfect. So
It's right
Gary,
there.
Gary's shown us the answer to make good on Sean's response there. So we've got some written guidance that is citable in response to your question, Jacqueline. Thank you, Sean. And thank you,
Jacqueline, I
Gary.
would make sure that your check in with your child welfare and attendance monitor though, and know your local practices. Your LEA should have like clear documentation for documenting those students, because it goes back to, what's the word with the C that I always forget? Compulsory education laws. So, yeah, so check in with them and see what documentation is needed.
All right. Thank you. Moving on here, we have a reposted Q1 from Catherine at Sonora Elementary. Do we know when we will be able to see the Fall 2 certification status? Just after the Fall 1 certification deadline. So the Fall 1 certification deadline is on December 13th. That is a Friday, and CalPADS will be offline from that Saturday through Monday. So the first date that you should be checking for your Fall 2 certification status, snapshots, reports, and fatal errors will be on December 17th, which is the Tuesday following the Fall 1 certification deadline, the initial deadline. All right. Okay, it looks like scrolling down past just a little bit of some thank yous and some comments that were later posted as replies to questions. So the next Q1 that we have is from Ethan at 3:29 p.m. When did Flash 292 get sent out? I can't find it, nor Flash 291 in my inbox. Is there a place to check to make sure if I'm still on that Flash distribution list? I'm getting the CalPads offline notifications and the digest, but seem to be missing some of the flashes. It could be in our spam filters. So Flash 292 was released. Check
Friday
my
it was sent out
Yeah. It was sent out on Friday. That was October 25th. And I believe
at
it was
10:30 a.m.
all right. And I believe it was sent out to the CalPads listserv.
Correct.
So please ensure that you are subscribed to the CalPads listserv. And it did get sent out Friday, October 25th at around, do you say 10:31 a.m., Gary?
10:30 exactly a.m. is what my timestamp says.
All right. So still very exact, even though it's a round number.
It's also in the Fall 1 reporting roadmap. It's linked here for download too.
Perfect. It is not yet on the CDE communications webpage, but they are, it always takes slightly longer to get up there. So it should be up there shortly, I'm sure. All right. And there it is on the Fall 1 reporting roadmap page. There's a link to the PDF version of the Flash as well. All right. Thank you, Kyron, Gary, and Ethan for the question. Next question from Leilani. We have some students on our 1.8 dropout report that we exited as a 140 last year or even the previous year, but they have now been picked up by a different school district this school year. Should I be changing our exit reasons in our student information system and in CalPads to remove them from the dropout report?
There is a report in CalPads that removes them for you when that happens. It's under Fall 1 8.1c. The student profile dropout state view, and that report looks at the students you have flagged as dropped out, but removes them if we can find them somewhere in CalPads that they've re-enrolled. So you don't necessarily have to change their exit.
CalPads is doing some of that work for you, Leilani.
Yeah, but depending on the timing of it, though, you may end up with an exit reason discrepancy saying a dropout re-enrolled. So it's a local decision. You've got some options there.
All right. Thank you, Angela, and thank you, Leilani. Next, we have a Q1 from Eldrick at Fresno Unified. Have there been any reports of missing CELA records following last night's updates in CalPads? We noticed today that a student is missing an EL record that was present last Friday, and Eldrick provided the SSID.
No,
I have not heard anything. Anybody else?
Yeah, I
I haven't
haven't.
seen any either.
Okay. So Eldrick, if you want to give us a ticket, we'll assign that to the Tom's folks over at the CDE office.
Right. Thank you. Next question from Charlene at Cupertino. Q1, I'd like to piggyback on Jamie's Q1 at 306. If one of 3 siblings is a foster youth, does it mean that the other 2 are foster youth as well?
No, not necessarily.
And Matt, since you are citing Jamie's previous question, I did go and paste in the answer from the FAQs. The first reason why a student may not be eligible to be a foster youth under LCFF is if they've been placed in a family care, or they're, and they're not a ward of the state. Being not a ward of the state is the important thing there. And she said the students were adopted. So depending on the timing of their adoption, they may not be eligible as foster youth this year. So I would ask Jamie to go check the 5.8 former foster youth report and see if they are on there. But being that those students were adopted, they're no longer wards of the state.
All right. Thank you,
Where
Nate.
did you put the document, Nate? You put it in the answers or you put it in the chat? We lost the whisperer.
It looks like it's in the response in the Q&A in the answered tab. It's in the response to Jamie's question at 3:06.
Thank you, Matt.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Sean, would it be appropriate to share here the program coordinators for every county, the foster program coordinators?
No, I typically they have one for the LEA themselves, the district
Okay.
first. So I would have them consult with their district first before they go to the COEs and do so. I was gonna share the document that Nate placed though in the chat though, just so they had a document that they could just click on to best understand what foster youth is. But I don't see it, so I see Kyron's, but I didn't see Nate's.
I didn't
Well, I think
submit the link. I just gave him the FAQ because it's not a direct link, but it's in the LCFF, the LCFF FAQs.
Oh, cool. Thanks, Nate.
All right. So Charlene, please do take a look at those LCFF FAQs. And the response that Nate provided is in there. The next question, Q1 from Leah. This is an HLS question. Parents filled out the HLS, the home language survey, incorrectly upon registering in KN as EO or English only. We found during the PT conferences that they should have been using TBD Spanish and should have been tested. What is the proper progression of the CELO records I should have for the student in their CALPADS record? And then it looks like Sin posted the page for the CELO record details in the comments as well. And
Gary has it on
yeah,
on the screen too.
so Gary has the diagram, which shows the normal ELS progressions. So the arrows on this slide signify valid progression. So a home language survey to TBD or a home language survey to EO is a valid progression. And then EO to TBD is also a valid progression. If it is not signified by an arrow on this list, you will need to use a correction reason code. And there's also correction reason codes in the CalPADS user manual on the page that Sin provided there. So thank you, Leah, and thank you, everyone, for your assistance here. All right, next.
Want to clarify that she can leave the EO and then add a TBD, I believe is what the correction is going to be, EO to TBD with evidence of non-primary or non-English primary language. Yeah.
So you'd use correction reason code 1. All right. Are we ready to move on to Wendy's Q1? All right. Wendy from San Luis Obispo County, Q1. If we enroll a 12th grade student at our juvenile court school and their previous high school exited them with E23360, are we expected to use the same exit data? We normally use T160 because we expect them to return to their home high school regardless of how they exited the student.
So their high school exited them as a completer.
E230.
More
I don't know what you
so,
mean.
the 360, if you read the definition, the code set says they aged out. So if they
Yeah.
aged out, they shouldn't be able to be enrolled in CalPADS. So that was probably incorrect use of the code if they have another line of a subsequent enrollment in CalPADS.
Yeah. So I'm thinking this is like a current 12th grade student and they were sent to you for like less than the 30 days, Wendy. And so if so, you would, I don't want to say T160 is the code you use, because I thought there is a specific code that says transfer back to homeschool. Or Wendy, put in a ticket for me so I can see that. And I also want to see if they're enrolled in your school less than the 30 days, because if not, then you have to pick up the record as a 10 versus everything else. Yeah, it does matter if they're short-term or primary, Wendy. So that's why I'm asking. So if you can put in a ticket, would attention me, and I'll gladly take a look at that SSID and then provide you guidance for how to be able to enroll that student, and then also and exit the student. The district has two ways of which they can choose to enroll the student. They can either keep them as a 10 or they can disenroll the student. And it looks like they chose to disenroll the student, but they wouldn't use them as a completer.
All right. Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Wendy. That does it for the Q1s. Let's go ahead and scroll back up and hit the Q2s and above. So our first Q2 is from Eva from Wasco Union Elementary at 3:03 p.m. Q2, I thought SINF records were full replacement records. I've checked several student records in CalPADS, and there are multiple SINF records for this school year, including some of the corrections I just made. Is this a glitch with CalPADS, or should I contact my student's information system? And then Ethan provides the kind of clarification here. SINF records are effective date mode, not full replacement. At this point, students might have 50 plus SINF records. And Gary's taking us to the data guide.
It was the CFS forms, but it shows what the operational keys are, but you can go ahead and go on. I don't think it's going to help that much.
All right. So, Ethan, if you submit a new SINF with the same effective start date as an existing record, it will replace it. I believe that is correct. All right, let's move on to Alex's Q2. I know you covered this in the past, but I want 100% clarification. I appreciate the drive for clarity there. I have a long-term sub in a special ed classroom since day one due to no applicants for the position. I currently have the principal as the teacher, though I would make that change once a teacher was hired. What is the correct way to report this for fall one? So if there is no teacher of record because there is a vacancy, you should report it to the seat of the substitute teacher teaching the course on census day. Their seat is reported as the teacher of record in the course section record in the case of vacancies. Would anyone like to add to that?
I'll report the principal.
Don't report the principal. Report the sub that was teaching the course on census day rather than the principal. Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Alex.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so Eva from Saugus Union School District, that was the first Q1 from Eva that we had today. It has a follow-up question. So we will be reporting suspensions and other means of corrections that are all violating the 48900 and 48915 ed codes. I was wondering if we are held accountable for reporting more than we have in the past. So does that affect accountability in just the volume of incident records that are posted? It looks like they are statutory offenses. They're violating the 48900 ed codes.
So I agree with Jan and Marissa. For CalPADS, we don't do like a cross-year comparison. But to Marissa's point, yes, for disproportionality, yes, you all want to make sure which students you are reporting, because it may land you in disproportionality overall, which isn't a good place to be. So I would just ensure to check in, Eva. And also suspension should always be used as like your last resort option. So is your district completing the restorative justice practices before providing suspension? If so, great, and you report what's being inputted.
All right. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you.
And thank you, Marissa and Jan, for your guidance as well. And thank you, Eva, for your question. The next question is a Q2 from Alejandro at Madera Unified. I previously asked a question about how to enroll adult special education students. What combination do you recommend along with the district? An enrollment status of 10 or 50? Thanks for your assistance. This is my first time working through Fall 1. Welcome to CalPADS in Fall 1, Alejandra.
Yeah, welcome. Yeah. So the enrollment status would be a 10 for primary enrollment. And I see Judy's comment there too, where she said, we only enroll our infants at the district level and they use the 50. Thank you, Judy.
Right.
And then can we provide this link to, I forgot his Alejandro, since he's new, he may not know where to find it.
Yes. There's an FAQ on the adults. Let me find the FAQ and I'll put it in the chat.
Well, thank you, Milo.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Thanks, Sean.
All right. Thank you, guys. And thank you, Alejandra, for the question there. The next question is a Q2 from Ethan. We have a student with 2 EL records in CalPADS. I would imagine due to a mid-merge at some point, but what the second SSID was is probably lost to history now. A new LEA is asking for us to delete the second EL record. Should this be done via a stairs request in TOMS?
Yeah, you can't delete a EL record. Let's start there. So Ethan, you can't delete an EL record. So yes, you would need to put in a ticket and we would need to see why that student has 2 EL records. I assume like you, there was a mid-merge at some point. If you have if you have both SSIDs, that would be great. But if you only have one, please give us whatever you got so we can look into it thoroughly, but we do need a ticket on it to be able to review and research and correct.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Looks like Kyron's typing an answer in as well, so I'm going to leave that one open while Kyron provides that there. But I will move on to the next question here. We have a follow-up question from Leah regarding my home language survey question. Will my TBD date be the date of discovery? Remember, this was the question where the student was incorrectly labeled as EO when they should have been TBD.
And I think you're trying to get at, am I going to get in trouble for not giving the student services within that 30-day window or not getting them tested? And Sean, help me out here. If, because it was just an honest mistake, the parent filled out the form wrong. If she leaves the EO record and then uses today as the TBD effective start date, that's okay, right?
Yeah, once they put in the correction, they have to put in the correction for it though first.
Right.
And then
The correction
yes.
reason code of 1 with the TBD of today's date, that starts the clock all over again, basically, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
But no, since it starts the clock all over again though too, the student won't appear on your 1.17 if they are found to be EL because it's past census day.
Correct.
That is helpful. Thank you, Sean, and thank you, Angela. Kyron, I'm going to go ahead and hit done on Ethan's question here so that we can show that we are out of questions here. So if we do have 401, so I don't want to steal too much more time from you guys, but if you have any burning questions, maybe the next 10 to 15 seconds might be the time to get them in here.
Can we show the page? There's a page in the user manual that shows the EO correction.
The correction reason codes.
Yeah, it shows how to put it in there though. I think it's the when to report. Data flow. Here it is. Copy. Paste. And I forgot their name. I'm so sorry. Whoever asked for how to put it in there, where the record goes, I'll put it in the chat.
All right, I believe that was Leah Underwood. So Leah, the link to the when to report a CELA correction reason code section in the CELA record details page of the CalPADS user manual is in the chat box.
She was
Right.
asking how to put it in there, and I was like, here you go.
Perfect.
So I couldn't find the question.
All right. Dawn says thank you. Thank you as well, Dawn. Val has a follow-up, and I think I'll read the follow-up. We can address it, and then let's call it there. So in response to Alex's question at 3:13, if there was no sub for Census Day, we need to report the principal for Fall 2, correct?
No, you report the seat of all nines then.
Yeah. So in a case where there is no teacher of record because of a vacancy, you would report the course to the substitute teaching the course on Census Day. If there was no sub teaching the course on Census Day, you would use a seat of all nines in the course section record. Thank you for the follow-up, Val, and thank you for your assistance, Sean. And that concludes the questions and the Q&A today. Thank you everyone for attending and for your questions, and thank you to my wonderful panel of experts here for all of your very helpful guidance here. We will see you next Wednesday at 3 p.m. And I believe the special education office hours next
Tuesday. It's on Tuesday.
Yep, Tuesday.
And then
Dominic's on the
following
road.
The following Tuesday too, because that other Monday is
Veterans Day.
So the Q&A, Census Q&A is next Wednesday at 3 o'clock. The SPED office hours are next Tuesday at 3 o'clock.
Yes,
Thank you for clarifying, Angela. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a great rest of your Wednesday.